We have a very interesting topic to discuss today, and it comes from zdnet.com. Link to it will be in the description below, as they state that Stadia exec Jack Buser will be moving from Google Stadia to Google Cloud's Director of Global Gaming Solutions. He's another very well-known figure in the Stadia community who happens to be moving to another sector at Google. Normally, this sort of headline leads to a lot of doom and gloom within the Stadia community, but this might actually prove to be very beneficial for Stadia. It was stated that Google Cloud sees an incredible momentum across all industries, and gaming is one of the key verticals they are investing in. A Google Cloud spokesman went on to say the following: "Jack's hire illustrates Google Cloud's continued investment into our global customer-first gaming strategy, and his 5 years at Google will help open doors for broader strategic partnerships with customers across YouTube, Stadia, and more." Now look, everyone's gonna see this statement very differently. Some people are gonna have different takes, and I want to share mine. That being said, it's important to note that nobody is gonna know exactly what's going on, and only time will tell what this ends up meaning for both Stadia and Google Cloud's investment in gaming. That being said, before I start talking, I highly implore you to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you see this as Google taking away resources for Stadia and putting them elsewhere? Or do you see this as continued investment in Stadia but in a different way? Myself, I see it somewhere in between the two. I actually think they are absolutely taking resources away from Stadia, but that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It's not a surprise anymore that Google's game plan for Stadia has changed in a big way. This was made clear the moment they shut down their first-party development studios. Many people started guessing what would happen to Stadia at that point, myself included, and many of us theorized that they may be focusing on becoming a white label service. For those of you unfamiliar with the term, consider it like a rebrand. Let's say that Google sold some of the technology that they use to run Stadia to EA. EA can then have their own cloud gaming service with its own name, but the backend would be running on the same technology that Google Stadia uses. I still think this has a good chance of happening, and honestly, I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. I think it would be great not just for Google, but Stadia as well. After all, it would mean games are already running on Google Stadia's backend, so it should be able to be ported to Stadia effortlessly. But at the end of the day, all of that depends on whether or not this actually ends up happening. And personally speaking, I think this move for Jack Buser is leading toward that. But I also don't think it's his main focus either. I do know that there are third-party publishers who want to have their own cloud gaming service, EA being one of them. For the longest time now, they've had one in the works for quite some time, and I have little to no doubt that Activision Blizzard, among other big names in the industry, might also be considering the same thing. And I'd argue that Google's in the best position to offer this sort of service for third-party publishers who are interested in cloud gaming. Now, I do need to make it clear, this is still Google taking away resources from Stadia. While I do think it will be beneficial for Stadia in the long run, Jack Buser is no longer focused solely on Stadia development. Google Cloud covers a vast variety of things in the gaming industry, from offering game servers to cloud investment esports-facing solutions like ActiveStat. Not to mention, they're going to be pushing YouTube as a streaming partner for live broadcasts and esports events, which I'm sure also fall under their umbrella. It's worth noting that the article went on to say that Buser's new role sheds light on the evolution of Google's gaming strategy, as it puts more focus on serving as a platform for third-party game publishers and developers. It also cements gaming as a crucial category for Google Cloud, putting it on par with a handful of other key verticals like healthcare, retail, and manufacturing. And if that turns out to be true, that's a big deal because Google now sees gaming as a key market. But as I said earlier on in the video, only time will eventually tell what ends up happening to Stadia the service. But what I think is safe to assume is that Google appears to be in the long haul for this. They keep bringing Stadia's name up when making these changes. Not to mention, we've been told repeatedly that Google Stadia isn't going to be going anywhere. I have no doubt that dreams, ambitions, and future plans for Stadia have changed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have died. All it means is that expectations have changed, and what those expectations are, we don't know yet. That covers my thoughts, now you let me know yours. If you enjoyed today's video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. As always, thank you for watching the video. This has been The Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming and VR related, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.